How do you help your parents when it comes to real estate? You're listening to the Home Sellers Advantage. I'm Aaron Zapata, your co-host.
And I'm Todd Anderson, your other co-host. We are the Bald Brothers team at Impact Realty Group with Real Broker, and we are here to give you the Home Sellers Advantage.
You can find us online at www.baldbrothers.tv. Again, that's baldbrothers.tv.
Or you can call us at 833-305-BALD. That's 833-305-2253 today.
Hey, welcome back. We appreciate your time and your effort to listen to this. Sometimes it just shows up in your feed, I'm sure, but some of you may have come looking for the Bald Brothers show here.
Yeah, if you listen to us regularly, and there are some of you that actually do listen to us regularly.
Thank you.
We've been absent for a little bit. I think our last episode we did on Zoom, and then we had a couple weeks off because you've been out gallivanting across the country, haven't you?
Yes, I took a road trip with my two sons, and we did a carpool, basically two cars with three people, and we drove through 12 states over a period of 5 days to get from Southern California to Kentucky, where both of my sons are now attending school. Mm-hmm. And so we're empty nesters, people.
Officially
empty nesters.
Join the empty nest gang, and we're empty nesters as well. Kind of. So we are this coming week. I'm going to be flying to New York to bring our youngest daughter to school. Our oldest daughter is married, but our middle daughter, who has graduated, she's actually living with us, renting a room for the time being. So we're empty nesters, sort of. We do have someone living with us right now.
Well, enough about us. We want to get to this topic because lately we've been working with a lot of customers and clients who are helping their parents through real estate issues.
Yeah.
And we just sent out our newsletter. It should be going out in the mail. If you're on our mailing list, keep an eye out for it because you should get it in your mailbox. Talking about different scams that are happening. And in fact, this morning I was talking to an attorney, and she was telling me that she has a client who called her and said, hey, I've had a caretaker in my home taking great care of me, and I have a trust, and I want to, they want me to sign some things. And immediately the attorney's like, red flag, red flag.
Yeah.
And said, tell me more about that. And she says, well, we really want them to get the home. And she's like, wait a minute, hold on, time out, right? And so this is more common than you think.
Yeah.
Where you have people that are in homes taking care of elderly, homeowners, and in that relationship, there becomes this sense of entitlement on the home, like caregiver, if they've been there long enough, and or on the homeowner, a sense of like obligation.
So there's a trust relationship that's built up there, and
it could be real trust. It could be quasi trust.
Yeah,
I know of a situation where a caretaker moved in and quote unquote fell in love with the gentleman, and he changed his will, changed everything, and she got the house. Wow, that was the caretaker. Not his wife, but the caretaker.
Wow.
Because there was that relationship. And so why do we bring this up? If this is the home seller's advantage. If you have parents that own property, it is so important that you are in good communication with them to make sure that they're not being taken advantage, especially if you have a live-in caretaker that's building a relationship with them. You want to absolutely make sure that they don't sign anything, that they're not doing something behind your back. And unfortunately, if an elderly person is making changes, we have seen it happen where they feel ashamed or scared and they don't want to tell their children.
Yeah, or embarrassed.
Or embarrassed that they fell for something, whether it be a scam where money was pulled out of their account, or they signed some paperwork and all of a sudden at their passing, you realize that you don't get an inheritance, and they don't want to tell anybody. So we just thought we'd bring that to you. It's a heavy subject.
It is. And we go through transitions of life. We start out talking about how you're an empty nester, I'm an empty nester, but that's the natural transition. And at one point, we'll be old fogies.
Yeah.
And our kids hopefully will be looking out for us.
Yeah.
But this is a very real thing, and it's increasingly something that we have to contend to in this ever-changing technological environment as well. So we've got the aspect of caretakers or people that might take advantage of your aging parent. But then you've also got the added aspect of the fact that they're under attack when it comes to technology, and they're more susceptible to things. And so how do you handle that when it comes to things pertaining to real estate, their estate? Sometimes you might have an aging parent who is living in a home that is far too large for them to be living in. And you've got to think forward towards their future, because what's going to happen if one of them, let's say both of them are alive and one of them were to pass away, leaving the other one, have you put a plan in place?
Right.
Where are they going to live?
Right.
Is there some accommodations that can be made for them? Are there accommodations for the home? That's a challenging subject, because typically it's somebody who's lived in their home for 30, 40, 50 years. That's a big change to ask them to give up. And so that's kind of what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
I don't think we have really an answer on all of it, other than the fact of how to process it and go through it with your parents.
Well, and we work with a lot of probates. And so a probate only happens if the person that passes away owns the property and doesn't have the necessary legal paperwork in place to pass that asset on to their children or to an heir. And so one of the answers that we do know is that if you or your parents own property, you need to make sure that it's in a trust.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that they've gone through that legal process to fill out the paperwork, to file the paperwork, to then put the property into the trust, so that upon death, the trust administrator, the successor trustee, can then carry out the terms of that trust. And not necessarily have to go through the probate process.
Yeah.
And so
the probate process is long and it's expensive, and there's a lot, the money goes in a lot of directions that you don't want it to go.
Right. And, there's a lot of people that are in the position where all of their money, their wealth is tied up into the home. And the house may be completely paid off. But if that person passes away without a will or a trust, and there's nothing in there to say, hey, this is how this property is supposed to be disposed of, then the state will come in and have a plan for you. Okay? They will then go through that process and say, well, you have to prove that you're the rightful heir. That takes time and money. In the process of that happening, that home has to be maintained. Guess who pays for that?
Yeah.
Typically the heirs. And so if it takes 8 months, 9 months, a year to work through some of these probate issues, somebody's paying for that home.
Yeah, can become a tremendous burden.
It can. If there's a mortgage on it, it's even more expensive. We gratefully just closed escrow this morning on a probate, and she told us, she says, I don't have money to pay for the property taxes that will be due when that bill comes out in October. We have to close.
Yeah.
And we got it done.
Yep.
So those are things to consider right now. As you're listening to this, if you have parents that own real estate, you should be thinking, does my mom and dad have that home in a will or a trust? Does my mom or dad have a live-in caretaker? Who's watching out for them?
Yeah.
Ultimately, I believe it's the children's duty to take care of their parents.
It is, yeah.
You can't just delegate that to somebody else and say, well, that person's taking care of them. I'm going to ignore them, or I'm just, whatever the case may be. We have to take care of our parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have a client right now that's doing a fantastic job.
We have a client right now that's doing, and just to give you an example of how it can be done in an effective manner, speaking of technology and the challenges and some of the language and the legalese that goes into it, can be overwhelming. And so we have a client who is doing a great job with her parents, and she is carbon copied on everything. We send everything. We do phone calls that are conference calls, so all parties can be involved in it. She can help talk through things with her parents. She's aware of everything we're telling her parents, so nothing's a surprise. She gets every piece of document that we have them sign. She gets a copy of it so she can review it at the same time.
And she's been at nearly every in-person meeting that we've done together.
Yeah.
As well.
It has made the process much easier for them.
Yeah.
Much more palatable, because this is a situation where they've been living in the home that they've been living in their whole lives. This is a massive change. Right. And so it requires a lot of soft touches along the way.
Right.
So,
and in this situation, everybody's on the same page. Mm-hmm. That's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
We've had situations where come into the situation where we start working with one of the heirs. Mm-hmm. Parents have already passed away. Mm-hmm. And that heir is at war with the other heirs.
The others, yeah.
And unfortunately we see that happen too when property is passed down and the patriarch or the matriarch of the family is no longer around to keep the peace,
to hold things together. Oftentimes
it disintegrates.
Yeah, it's the patriarch or the matriarch that has held the glue that's holding the whole thing together, and then it all falls apart. And before you know it, one heir has their attorney, the other heir has their attorney. We've got multiple attorneys involved. Talk about an expensive process for selling a home.
And we had that one once, and we had 2 properties to sell for the same family. Mm-hmm. And
I think we had 5 attorneys with that
5 attorneys, plus the court-appointed administrator that was also charging attorney fees because nobody could get along. Mm-hmm. And so we had literally 6 people charging legal fees every time we picked up the phone, every time an email went out, every time. And at the end of the day, that literally probably took 30 to 40% of the proceeds.
It bled the property. There was a little bit left to the heirs, but not what it could have been if they could have just gotten together ahead of time and put a plan together.
Right. And one of the other things too that we hear a lot as we work with parents, and typically the children will call us and they will say, "Hey, I've got my parents and they need some help, and will you work with them?" Mm-hmm. And it's happened enough now for Todd and I to know that this is kind of to be expected, where the children, often adult children, will say, "Hey, working with my parents is going to be a little bit tough."
Yeah.
We kind of smirk and we giggle, and because we know that is generally the perception. Mm-hmm. But what Todd and I realize is that we come into the process and we don't have a pre-existing relationship. Yeah. We don't have decades of conversations and situations that perhaps have created a little bit of that friction. Mm-hmm. We come in as neutral parties. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to achieve a certain goal. Mm-hmm. And so we love being brought into those circumstances. And I can't think of one circumstance, Todd, maybe you can. I can't think of one sale where it was actually hard to work with the parents.
Yeah, no, we normally do pretty well with the parents.
Yeah, even those that come to us, "Hey, it's going to be really hard. Mm-hmm. You're not going to really like it." And we do just fine because we don't bring into that professional relationship any of the burden of the personal.
Yeah.
And so
it really is a joy for us.
So why do I bring that up? You may be having a hard time with your parents right now and their real estate and some of the things they're doing. And you may not want to bring somebody like us into it because of fear of whatever. Mm-hmm. And you're that person that wants to make that apology, like, "Hey guys, I know it's going to be difficult, but you might want to, can you, give us a call right now." Yeah. And
do it now.
Do it now. Call 833-305-BALD.
BALD 2253.
That's right. Give us a call right now and say, "Hey, you guys need to meet my parents. We need to get this ball rolling." And if you need referrals for attorneys to create that paperwork so that you're not left in probate court, we have those as well.
Yep.
We also have an escrow and a mortgage company that can help with reverse mortgages. We've got a client going through that right now to eliminate a payment of a home payment at this house. And so that's Crosswalk Mortgage. We've also got Beacon Escrow, and that's the team that we work with to work through these transactions when possible.
Yep.
So, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. So the lesson for today is don't put it off. Deal with it and make a plan.
Yeah. Make the plan and make sure that at the top of that checkbox is to call the Bald Brothers team at Real Broker.
Number one.
Call the Bald Brothers team and let us talk to them and you about a process to put that in place. You know what? Todd and I have a goal this year. We want to go on 60 listing appointments. That is to go talk with 60 sellers this year as we lay the foundation for the future. And so currently we're at 39.
39. So we're 39. Short. We got to get to 60 before the end of the year.
Yeah, we only have how many more months? We've got September, October, November, December. We got 4 more months.
4 months, yeah.
And we've got 21 more appointments that we need to accomplish. Is that right? Did I do the math right?
Yeah, you're
okay.
The math genius.
Wow, I'm doing simple math. So if you were thinking about selling or you have a property to sell, we want to talk to you about that process, whether it be a manufactured home or a 6.7 acre vineyard, which we will be selling here soon. So we're very excited about what we do, and we get to do this all day long. So thanks for listening in. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Todd.
And we are
the Bald Brothers team.
And you know what we do?
We sell homes.
We do.
That we do.
So give us a call at 833-305-2253. And until next time, God bless. Thanks for listening to the Home Sellers Advantage. The Bald Brothers team is a licensed DBA of Real Broker, licensed by the California Department of Real Estate, number 02022-092. Again, we do not give any real estate, legal, or financial advice. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can call us at 833-305-BALD, or you can reach us online at baldbrothers.tv. Equal housing opportunity.